So with dedicated clusters feature, the first thing you see, like you need a pro workspace first and foremost. And then the first thing you see is there is this tab called clusters. And then you have a list of all your clusters. Now I already have two. And then you can add one. You can see in the list, you see the name of the cluster, the region where it's located, the number of branches, which are essentially databases that run on it, and the state. And we'll come back to the state once we create one. And there's this button that allows you to basically create a cluster. So you can give it a name, and I'll keep in the tradition and I'll call it third. You can pick one of the regions. I want to also show the connectivity, so let's go for your West one. And these are all the options that we were talking about. So you can choose the Postgres version. I want to do a serverless one, so then you can select the capacity range, number of replicas, different other things like maintenance windows, backup windows, whatever. Deletion protection, which basically will protect from deleting a cluster that has some data on it. You also see this calculator here, which is kind of estimating the cost per month. And yeah, let's just try and provision this one. As you can see, it shows up in the list. There is a different state here. It says provision and cluster. It will run through a number of states until it gets to running. So because that takes time, I'm going to use one of the already created ones to show how you can use a dedicated cluster. So this one already exists, and I have a dedicated a database that is created on it. I can also just create a new one. Let's call it, I'm not really good with names. Let's call it first. As you can see now, when you create a database, you have this default cluster setting, which is by default put to shared, but you can select a dedicated cluster, and this is based on the location, right? So for West one, you have these two. We select the default cluster. Let's also enable direct access so that we can show everything. And we click create. So this is what we created. It's completely empty. It has the main branch. We can add a table. Let's call it first. Let's also add a new column, also called first. And once that is done, I'll use this random data generator to put in some data. And then from this moment on, you basically can use your database exactly as you would for one that's on the shared cluster. For instance, like you can add a record. You can search. If I search for first, I will get the record. What's more, because I enabled that Postgres access, I can also, let me make this a bit smaller. I can also try and directly connect to it. So for instance, I think I already have a string here. If I'm using pSQL, I will delete my API key after this, so don't try it. I'm basically in. It's the main branch. I can do like the tables. You can see the first table. I can do, I don't know, select everything, and I can see all the rows. So yeah, basically whatever you can do on a shared cluster, you can also do on a dedicated one. So if we go back, to the clusters. This one is still provisioning. As I said, it takes a while. But what I can show you meanwhile is this one, which is running, can also be stopped. Now, if I stop it and wait a bit and go to the same database, I will not be able to see anything because the cluster is stopped. It takes a while, but okay, now it still works. There may be some caching somewhere, but the moment this one is stopped, you get an error and you can no longer access your data. And this is useful basically if you want to cut costs. Now, in order to see that the new one actually goes to running, I think we still need to wait a bit.
Could you show us creating another branch on and picking the cluster?
I could, but I just started stopping it.
Maybe you could show us on second, maybe?
Yeah, I could try on this one. Sorry. So on second, let me add a database. On the second one, let's see a second database. And then if I add a branch, let's call it second branch. Here you can again choose. So even if the database was created with the second cluster as the default one, you can still choose. You can create a branch on the shared cluster as well if you want. And it's basically creating a second branch. I can generate some data